My dad said that his brothers told him a gypsy put a curse on the family. Now, do I believe that? I don't know, maybe. But what I find interesting is my uncle's train of thought. It's a supernatural one. So I have to ask, what exactly did they experience to make them think it had a supernatural cause? Did they see a shadow person? To research this, I looked into the lore, and the lore says that shadow people are prevalent in many cultures throughout the world. Now, for my family in particular, those cultures would be German, Swedish, English, Irish, Scottish, and Welsh. And those shadow people go by many different names, but they all play a terrifying role within those cultures. Now, in Germany and Sweden, there is a shadowy like entity called a Mach in German and a Marach in Swedish. Now, the English word nightmare comes from the German word Nachtma, which is basically a night malevolent spirit. Now, what this spirit would do is it could take a shadowy form, it could come under a door into a house, and it would find a person sleeping and sit on their chest, and the person would wake up struggling to breathe. Now, when I was researching this, I remembered a dream that I had when I was about 8 years old. And I was laying on my bed and I was on my back, and all this weight was crushing on my chest, and I woke up struggling to breathe. And I fall asleep again, and my chest was just getting crushed. I wake up again struggling to breathe. Now, episodes like that continued into adulthood. I would wake up gasping for air. So I go to the doctor, and the doctor examines me and he says, though I don't fit the physical profile of a typical patient with sleep apnea because I'm on the thinner side, he nevertheless diagnosed me with sleep apnea. Now, would my German and Swedish ancestors agree? I think they would probably say I was visited by a ma. Now, in Ireland, there's something called a Fear Dorka, or dark man. Now, this dark man is an assassin by trade and works for the Queen of the Dead. And his form is that of being tall, being thin, clad in black, and you can never make out the features of his face because he uses shadows as cover. So he's always in and out. You can never quite tell what expression's on his face. Now, what's interesting is if the Fear Dorka hears you're talking bad about him, it is said that he actually come to your house on a moonlit night and knock on the door. Now, last night I was researching the Fear Dorka, and it was getting dark, so I wanted to go over to my brother's house and take a walk in the cemetery. I put my laptop away, I left the room, and I heard a just like that. I rushed back in my room. Nothing was out of place. Nothing had fell. And I thought about it's like it didn't sound like something fell because it was just a single sound like that. And then I wondered, was that the Fear Dorka just giving me a quick rasp on the wall to let me know that whatever you say about me after researching me, it better be something good. Now in Scotland, there's something known as the Bodach Glace, and it's a dark, shadowy entity, and it's like the typical boogeyman figure. Now, this figure could slip through open windows, it could come down chimneys, it would terrify children, and it also served as an omen of death or misfortune on the way. Now, in Wales, there's something called a spirit funeral, and that's basically a group of shadow people that you would see maybe on a dark road, and they look like they're in a funeral procession. Now, that's not a good thing to see because that is definitely an omen of death coming up. Now, in England, there is something called the Wraith. Now, this Wraith haunts the countryside, It's a shadowy figure, and if you're out at night to protect yourself, it is said you should carry an iron nail in your pocket, and to keep the wraith from entering your house, you should salt your door. Now, throughout Northern Europe, there's something called a kinphilia. And basically, what that is, it's a spirit that attaches itself to a family line. Now, families that are fortunate have a good kinphilia, and that's similar to the concept of a guardian angel. But other families, which I'm thinking is similar to my family, probably have a malevolent spirit attached to their family, and possibly by a gypsy curse. Now, here in America, it's common for people to look at another family and say, like, wow, this family, there's a lot of rich people in this family. They know how to make money. This family's really artistic. This family's really good, really athletic. But it's not something people talk about when they say, you know, I think that family has a malevolent spirit that runs in the family. Though our ancestors, thousands of years ago, would say that is something that could possibly happen. Now, doing the research for this, it made me think about my own experiences and my family's experience, and I got to thinking that, you know, maybe 1,000 years ago, in a stone cottage overlooking a loch in Scotland, it was nighttime, and a candle kept blowing out. And in a Gaelic voice, someone said, "That's the Boat of Clace again." And then through the generations on here to America, maybe that same spirit came over on a boat, followed every ancestor down into this house right here, and then eventually moved a cell phone into the other room, so I couldn't find it. So, though today we may not live with the same hardships as our ancestors, we don't live in a stone cottage with a thatched roof heated by a fireplace burning turf. We live in a nice modern world with all these comfortable conveniences, and I can even talk to you over the internet. So we evolved. And I think we should realize that I believe the spirits have as well.